Hi, good people. I hope you are well from where you are watching from. Welcome to Kate Ndongo Cafe. Our guest for today is a civil engineer. A civil engineer who is also a Gen Z. So today we are going to talk about how civil engineers solve problems. Come with me. So how are you, Mike? Good kid. Karibu sana katika Kilimo Cafe. Asante sana. So tell us what you do as a civil engineer.
Hi, viewers of Kate Ndongo Cafe. My name is Michael Karanja. I'm a civil engineer, as Kate has mentioned. I work for a consultancy company. We deal with water engineering and environmental engineering. I've been there for 2 years now. I started in 2023. Before that, I did my internship in a government agency for 1 year. So a total of 3 years from the time I graduated from campus.
Thank you so much. So for the time that you have worked as a civil engineer, what is that positive impact that you can say that you have impacted the community? And in addition to that, what would you say that civil engineers or how do civil engineers make a positive impact to the community?
Thank you, Kate, for that question. In civil engineering, we deal mostly with construction. And it's interesting that the reason that we do this construction is not for the construction itself, because we are trying to solve a particular problem. For example, before we construct a hospital, because patients need to be treated, and they need to be treated in a certain place where there is security, there are walls where we can protect them, and the instruments that we use to treat them. So that's where civil engineers will come at to build that structure that is needed for treatment. When you come to roads, it's because maybe the citizens of a certain country or the residents of a certain place need to go from point one to point B, or they need to go to take their produce from point one to point B. So civil engineers come and solve this problem of people coming from one place to another through constructing a road. That's how mostly also a construction you have to look at what needs to be solved. Okay. So, for example, there's a dam project that I was involved in from the year 2022. This dam, by the way, even before I go to the dam, when I say dam, what comes to your mind? What large surface of water, right? Or a large surface of water. Well, that is what I used to think when I had dam. But actually, what you actually think is the dam is not actually the dam. Because the large amount of water collected somewhere is what you think as the dam. But the dam is actually a wall that is a river, and it impedes water from going through that wall. The wall is the dam. Wow. Yeah. Not the large amount of water. It's the wall that is the dam, and then the water that's running behind the wall. Now that's a reservoir. Yeah, a reservoir basically something that holds water. It could be a tank, or is water that is behind a dam. The dam, the wall. So we were doing a dam. We were constructing a dam 54 meters long. It's going to be one of the largest dams in Kenya. So this dam, we are not just doing it for the sake of doing a dam. The purpose of this dam is both floods that occur from the River Nyando. River Nyando flows to some of the towns that it flows to Ero and other towns in Kisumu County. I don't know, Kate, if you can remember one time when Kibaki was the president, there was a lady that became famous in Kenya. That was saying Serikali idea. You remember that name? Yeah, what happened during that time? The River Nyando had flooded, and it had swept off a couple of houses in her area. Yeah, so this dam was to control the floods that come from the yeah, so it was supposed to solve that. It will be a multi-purpose dam because in as much as it will solve the flood problem, it will also solve the water supply problem, where water will be treated and then distributed to people for drinking and for other uses. It will also be used for irrigation. The Ahero irrigation scheme, something that we learned, I think, primary school, high school, the famous irrigation scheme, and some of the water from this dam will go that irrigation scheme. Yes, that is, that is impact because it saves lives, it provides food security and irrigation, it also provides clean water, and helping solve water quality. Uh, Currently, we're doing water treatment plant. That is where we take water from a source, say a river. The class we are taking water from a river. We are treating this water and then distributing the water to tanks. Then from the tanks, the high place. So we are taking water from here and then taking it somewhere high. We do a tank where at a high point we'll pump it there and then it will be distributed through gravity so that it can save on cost for costly power and other costs. Yeah, so this will help the people of that place where we are working to have clean water for their uses, everyday uses, cooking, drinking, living goes just to help prevent waterborne diseases. Cholera is a killer. Yeah, so ensuring that people get clean water is very important thing. Those are just the things that I've been able to be involved in. There's another project we haven't started it yet, but it's the northern part of the country, the Marsabit and Turkana. There we are doing boreholes, and then distribute this water to the residents of those places. We know Marsabit and Turkana are places where are known for dryness. Yeah, so when these people get water for their livestock, for them, they are able to focus their time on other things. Like you will see kids, small kids, not even in their teenage years, they are fathers. So they are given the blocks of their parents and they go take them to the grazing area. So if we provide accessible water for these people, this child can go to school, instead of going to graze the family animals. Now this child can take their time to go and study and become a big person in this country or this world. So it's really empowering. Uh, yes, that is some of the things that I would say I have impacted. That,
That is so wonderful. Now, in addition to what you have been involved directly, so what are some of the other ways that people in India can become in addition to what you have been involved directly? And the other ways that people can
yeah, that is because what I've talked about, I feel that is water engineering. I think that civil engineering has some disciplines. There are people in civil engineering who are in water, like I am, and there are people who are in structures that is involved in buildings mostly. There are people who do highways, those are people who do roads, bridges, bridges in those structures and also highways. Let me explain a bit. For structures, where does an engineer come in structure? Because most of the when you hear structure, you think of an architect, right? Yeah, you want you think of an engineer, of an architect, and sometimes laymen will confuse us. You call an architect an engineer. Just anyone who is in construction, you later call them architect, or call them engineer. Yeah, the architect sometimes have complained about that. We need architect. This is what I mean. Yeah. After an architect comes with an idea of how a building will be, of how you have the client purposes, yeah, how to solve a particular need, they come with a drawing and then present this drawing to structural engineer. So the work of structural engineer in structure is to make sure that the structure stands. When the architect coming up with the idea of the building, it will solve the space maybe a client, their clients want a residential building. Will solve maybe a client wants a 4-bedroom house. So the architect will give a house. So you put 1 bedroom, ground floor, first floor. You make it beautiful. They are very expensive. You have pillars that are round, some pillars maybe they are spiral. These kinds of things. But the work of the structural engineer now to make sure that the structure is done. Yeah. I won't get into the technicality of how they do it, but it involves mostly, yeah, by steel, these columns, like the columns, like the columns. I don't want to get into that, but just know that sections have to make sure that it is not filled with garbage, bed, things that you want to know how to make sure that that's important. Or a bridge, some other structure, to make sure that when people come now use this bridge, big bridge that has and we make sure that the cars that it can accommodate will not cause the bridge to fail or fail that we do not want that. Yeah. The instructors have to make sure that people are safe. Yeah. When you come to roads, highways, I had talked about it a little bit, but an engineer working in highways, make sure that, say you're a businessman or you're a farmer, let's talk about farming because most of them are if you have a farmer that planting their produce together and you want to sell their produce, it's better price. When without a road, this commodity might take days. If you have bad roads, it might take days. The cars will break down and go to the place. There are so many things that can happen. But if you have a good road, it ensures that this person can go to the take this hour. So they set their produce and they come back to their family. Yeah, you can sell your produce in market. Like, take produce here, you take cabbages, you're already aware of this. So we have common friend who has done this, was taking cabbages from here, they're going to sell them to us. That's possible because of this. Yeah. You have a sick person who wants to go to hospital. If you have a good road, this person that the hospital, so in a very short time. So yeah, this is that impact.
There is no impact because you people. And thank you for explaining to us of the various ways that people engineers are able to make positive impact to our community. And from what you have said, what we can say is that people engineers make life easier for the people. Thank you so much for that explanation. So you are a civil engineer. So my question is, which are these institutions or what are the opportunities for someone who has done this? Yes, you have told us that currently you are being involved in water, their water project. So what are these other institutions where job opportunities can be found for someone who has pursued civil engineering?
Thank you. Well, personally, I mentioned that I did my internship in a government agency. That is one place that a person who has done engineering can work. What we were doing there, uh, uh, not very complicated. When you are working for the government, making sure that the the government funds are being used in the right way. Yeah. So, well, most of the things that we do actually, most most of our clients are government. So, because they take so much money, they are very capital intensive, and you find that individual things are not able to pay for them, or they are not willing to, because they do not really have so much income. Like a road. Apart from the expense where they pay for using the road, other roads are free to use. So as an investor, you're not willing to invest in something that will not bring so much income. So you find that most of our funding comes from government. Uh, so the government has to make sure that this money is being used, right? And so for engineering project, someone is engineering knowledge. So, yeah. Uh, I don't want someone coming and telling you that this road from here to there I have used 20 minutes. If you are not have engineering knowledge, you think itakuwa akupatie cement, akupatie chuma, akupatie mixing ratio, akupatie sijui concrete batching, yenyewe basi hizo zingine kama inawezekana. But if it's something engineering knowledge, then they know the person applying not the government partner that you can work with. After that, I went to work for a consultancy company. Then somewhere else that you can work with. Consultant company. They are they works on behalf of clients who do not have the net. So if a client wants, well, a client being government, the government wants to build a dam and they do not have the right capacity. They have engineers that don't have to be engineers on board. It cannot get money on the work. But in a consultant company, they have engineers who have experience in our dams. Have engineers who have been who have constructed dams, who have supervised dams, designed dams. Mainly, they have experience. They also have the numbers. They have the labor force. So basically, anyone, almost everyone in my consulting, my engineering consulting company, like 90%, or 10%, the money source, the accountant, yeah, but 90%. And so you have a work. So if the math, that employing engineers to come as project managers, it's more expensive for you to hire people because you want to just hire them from this particular project and then fire them. No, just take a consultancy company now can just do just the project for you. Then so you pay them for that. Then you part with it. Also, you can work in a consultancy company. It's a consultancy company. It's employing most engineers. Yeah. Apart from that, I've worked in regulatory boards like for Kenya, we have the Engineering Board of Kenya, which is the board that regulates engineers, well, how they work, regulates the engineers on whether you can be called an engineer actually, if you can be called a professional engineer. You see, after you graduate with an engineering degree, you cannot just do everything that an engineer can. Like for example, there are some papers that you cannot stamp and say that this is certified by an engineer. Yeah, you have to have some experience, and then you go to an exam, and then when you pass that exam, you are certified as an engineer. Now you can operate as an engineer, as a professional engineer. Okay. Yeah, so you can work here. This is a place also that needs engineers, also employs most engineers. Another place that you can work in is dispute management or solving disputes. You see, sometimes a client might be having conflict with a contractor that he has hired to do a particular job. Yeah. So you have hired someone as a client, or you have someone you have hired. Maybe you have not paid them for one reason. You know, things happen. You have not paid them, or you have delayed their payments. Because if you have not paid them, that's easy. But if they can prove you have not paid them and they have worked for you, that's easy. You are the one on the back. But there are some times when you have delayed their payments. See, you have delayed their payments, and then after a while, they'll feel that this person, if she had paid me on time, then I would have made profits. And then if I had made these profits, I would have done other things with the money that I had gotten. So this person feels that you owe them for the money that they have not gotten because you did not pay them on time. You see, so this complicates things. Yeah? This will complicate things. And if you do not agree, then you can go to a dispute. Yeah, you call them dispute adjudication boards. You can go to them. They hear your case and they can judge between the two of you. It's easier that way because this person who solving this dispute has an engineering knowledge. Yeah, it's easier if this person solving your dispute has engineering knowledge, So you can explain, the contractor can explain that I did this for them, this cost this. They paid me, this should have cost this. Maybe because they had not paid me and I was working for them, I could have used my equipment somewhere else. It complicates things. But if you have someone with engineering knowledge and uh, they are in that part, they are not favoring anyone. They are the best people in the companies. So there are people who do this, and they employ engineers. Yeah, so that's a place where someone could work. Uh, Somewhere else, an engineer could work as a lecturer, can teach others engineering. And since we are Gen Zs, you can be a content creator, creating content that is engineering related. There's a person that I follow that posts engineering stuff, things that you will not have noticed if you are not an engineer. The person just in his daily walks of life notices something that is interesting to engineers, records it, talks about it. Yeah, and it's interesting. As engineers, we are entertained by that content. We can be a content creator too. Yeah, those are some of the places that an engineer work.
That is so wonderful. So civil engineers have to find work and also make an impact to the society as we have talked about. Now, wewe ni Gen Z. Sasa nataka what would you tell other Gen Z about work, about studies, and yeah, what is your message to them? What would you tell them?
What should I tell Gen Zs
Yes.
about work, study?
Tuwaambie aje.
Uh, well, as your big brother, I'm as your brother. Well, but what I can say, Gen Zs are people, to the truth, waitwa lazy sometimes. Society na say, yeah, say wako lazy. Like there's a meme I saw the other time. So alikuwa amesema ati there's this Gen Z at work. Ati anakujanga tu yeye ni movie tu anaochini kwa ofisi. And then one time akakuwa confronted because of that, akasema by the way mnanibore na hii kazi na quit first being on Monday. Kishamaliza hii series na watch. Well, we are not like that. That is an exaggeration. Yeah? That is an exaggeration. Sometimes we will watch movies in the office, but it's because we do not have another thing to. What I would say about Gen Z is, by the way, Kate, Gen Zs are we are not as driven as driven by money as other generations. You know, yes, we do want money, but we are not as driven by money as other generations. When you want money, you want it for a certain purpose. Some wanataka kupiga sherehe, some wanataka kuachieve other purposes, maybe to anafideni msanii. Yeah? So anataka pesa ndo apasi usanii wake, maybe amefeel maybe usanii haipigi. Maybe someone is doing it to do ministry, yeah, anaweza kuwa kwa job ndo apate pesa and then they can focus on ministry. Yeah, then jinsi tukiambiwa ati uende ministry ulipwe na ministry, unafeel ni kama una beg and you do not want that. Yeah. We are not actually lazy. We are driven by purpose. And if this person is not matched their purpose, if their work that they are doing is not matching their purpose, this person might not give it their all. Yeah. Sometimes you will find that compared to other generations, it's not that they are not lazy. If they were given a chance not to work and be given money, they will stay at home. If they are working hard because they do not want to lose the job, because they want this money, they need this money. Yeah. But things kama hatuna kujipiga kukosa pesa. Yeah, so that's the difference between us and the other generations. But in as much as that is true, I would tell fellow Jesus, kujituma. In my place of work, I always tell my colleagues, kama hii kazi imekuboo, you can always quit. You don't have to do things, without drive. You can quit, just quit, alafu uende utafute kitu ingine ya kufanya. But if you have chosen to stay there, then do it to the best of your ability. Yeah, do it to the best of your ability. Well, the Bible tells us that those who excel in what they do stand before kings, right? So whatever that you choose to do it to the best of your ability. If you feel that you are not able to do it to the best of your ability, maybe because you do not like it, then just find something that is more suited to you and do that. So that you can excel in that, you can excel in what you want to do. That's what I tell you.
As we conclude,
Yes.
wewe ni civil engineer. Mtu akikuja hapa, mtu ambaye they have not done any course, or they have done another course, but now they want maybe to start pursuing civil engineering as a course. So the question is, why should a person pursue civil engineering as a course? Why?
Should pursue civil engineering as a course. Apart from it, I don't want to answer why, I want to answer when.
All right.
When should a person pursue civil engineering, right? Because there are some people who did it because of why. Yeah, they were told that engineering utapata kazi, engineering utapata pesa, engineering, kuna hiyo jina engineer.
Right. Actually, you are right.
Right? Yes, those are whys, but those are not enough. You'll find people who did engineering. Well, most of us actually when you are starting, when you are, say, in your internships or it's your first job, hey, unalipwa peanuts, unalipwa peanuts. So if you did it for money, your why was money, then no, utakuwa discouraged. Utakuwa discouraged hapa. If you did it because your jobs, sometimes unapata hakuna jobs. Yeah. So I would say when should you pursue civil engineering? Pursue civil engineering if construction is something that you love. I had a friend alikuwa amemaliza high school na alikuwa anajua pursue nini, but yeye alikuwa anasema mimi tu nikipita mahali kuna mjengo na kuanga interested sana. Nataka kujua wanatumia mawe inatosha aje, mchanga inatosha aje, cement inatosha aje. Yeah, so that is someone that I would, and I did advise them, pursue civil engineering or something related, like quantity surveys, because pia alikuwa anataka kujua wanatumia how much kufanya hivi, like quantity survey, something that has an engineering aspect and money aspect. If someone is, is very interested in water, like providing water solutions to people. Yeah. Like I said, like in my late years in campus, I was very interested in water. I did my project, and it was about wastewater and how to treat wastewater. How that imagine chafu, imagine achana tu hata na hii ya street, hadi maji ya maji imetritiwa hadi imekuwa safi, that inaweza kunywa na mtu. That was very interesting to me. And if you're interested in things like this, then civil engineering will be something that you can think about pursuing. If you're interested in, ukienda kwa barabara, well, I always say that civil engineers are curious, or all engineers are curious people. If you see something, you're wondering, how did they do this? Yeah? How did they do this? You want to know how this thing was done. You're supposed to be an engineer. That's that. So, yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So you have told us it's more of when should someone pursue engineering. It's not more of why. Because the why inaweza fika mahali say whatever you don't see it, you are not doing it. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for that information about my country. So guys, that is it for today. We have heard from our guest. He's a civil engineer and he's also a Gen Z. Na amepatia Gen Z his message about work and also about career. So that is it for today. Until next time, bye.